see we have a lot of people interested in the district budget here this evening. Good to see you all.
Okay, next on our agenda this evening is public comment. So a board meeting is a meeting of school district business held in public. It is not a public meeting. The board is not going to respond to those making public comment, but will direct the superintendent to follow up with the presenters. 30 minutes is set aside for public comment, so each presenter is being asked to keep their comments brief. The board does not comment in public on any student or employee, and we ask the presenters to be respectful of any person that they comment about. So this evening we have quite a few comment cards. So we have about 2 minutes for each presenter that would like to comment. And so Mary Moss will be keeping time for us, and we'll just have you guys come up one at a time. So Jolette, do it.
Good evening. I just wanted to come here to introduce myself. My name is Jolette Toit, and you guys may recognize my voice. I've been a regular person in the audience here, and I've never come up to speak, but I just wanted to come up and tell you thank you for all the work that you guys do, each and every one of you that are volunteers here, that have day jobs, you own your own businesses, you have dance recitals and soccer practices and things that you all juggle on top of what you're doing here tonight. And I just wanted to thank you for the hard work that you put in for a job that you donate your time to. Thanks.
Okay, Julie Fernandez.
I am Julie Fernandez, and both my husband and I taught here for Lapeer Community Schools over 30 years, and we were honored to be distinguished educators, and all 3 of our kids attended Lapeer schools. And I've been meaning to get up to a meeting to talk to you about what would happen if ICE arrived at one of our schools. And hopefully there is some plan in place, but if not, I did bring some materials that myself and a group of other women have compiled, and we've been going to ethnic restaurants to let them know what their rights are, which is really help them to feel a little more relaxed about that possibility. So on the top, this is the big one, the court warrant. It has to, the date can't be exceeded on here. It has to have the address if they're coming to the school, the address of the school, or if they're looking for an individual, they have to be named on here. It must be signed by a judge. And then the second one, the ICE warrant, and all the information is in here. It doesn't have the same teeth. I mean, they want to talk to somebody in charge, principal, building manager, whoever. The I-9 form is what we would have on file if we have non-citizens working anywhere in the district. Once this is completed, it doesn't have to be redone every year, but ICE might ask for that, and you have 3 days to give them that information. So these are, the rest of the materials are self-explanatory, but I must tell you that one of the things that some of you may not know someone that's afraid. I happen to know a mother whose 6-year-old daughter came home from school and asked her mother if she was brown. Am I brown? And the mother had to tell her yes. And that also, is there a chance ICE would come to get me? And I know that your job is to keep our kids feeling safe and secure. So, and this is an important thing. Shall I hand these to you, Kim? Thank you.
Sarah Walker.
Hi, my name is Sarah Walker. My son graduated from your schools in 23. My daughter's currently a sophomore here at the school. The reason I'm here today is because it was brought to my attention that there's some nasty books that are on our shelves, essentially. And I don't know where the pushback is at for getting those off our shelves, whether it's from the program that you guys want to implement or not implement, or if it's, the community that wants to keep, I don't really know all that. But I looked into a couple of things today. I went to a website that showed all these books that are on our shelves in our school. There's 59 of these books on our high school library shelves and 24 in middle school. And I screenshotted a couple excerpts that are from this material that's on our shelves. I'm just going to read it. He asked me to turn over, well, he slipped a condom onto himself, but this was my ass, and I was struggling to imagine someone inside me. And he was large, and I had previously taught someone who clearly enjoyed it, but he had been enjoying anal sex before I ever came along. He got on top and slowly inserted himself into me. He then added more lube and tried again, which felt better, but not by much. He began his stroking motion. Eventually, I felt a mix of pleasure with the pain. He didn't last long inside me, thankfully. He gave me a kiss before he pulled out. I didn't stay long, nor did I masturbate after. It really rocks my core that my daughter, who's 16, can read this type of material. It's a public school. It's my job to protect her. I trust the school. I trust you guys. I trust everyone. And I just do my best. And I was quite ashamed, actually, because I looked through the book list, and I have a couple on my own bookshelf at home. I didn't even know that was on this list. And I'm just here to talk about just protecting our kids from this type of stuff, and whatever program you guys have to implement to do that, which is really great for her and her kids and their kids and just some future kids. So.
Heidi?
Right up to the podium.
I just wanted to touch on the books that were pulled as well. And it's kind of concerning that you never know if people are going to read the whole book or not. Because a lot of times people do just simply pull out excerpts, and you can't base a whole book just on excerpts. It's just not fair. But taking anything out of context, whether you're talking about the news or a book, it doesn't work. You don't get the full feeling of what's behind the story. So in considering these books, I really hope that people actually read the entire book. It is essential that you know the story surrounding the parts that are in it that you might not agree with. And also, yes, this is a public school, and that's part of the reason these books should be kept in the school, is because somebody that considers taking these books out protecting students, other people think that keeping these books in the schools are protecting students because it gives them a way of seeing the experience that they might not otherwise be able to see. So they have to, there are things that they might read about that they're not told about that are going to help them deal with situations that we might not know they're in. Thank you.
Karen, where should go?
So I didn't want to talk tonight because I wanted the night off for being awesome at meetings. But then today I had this experience where I was in a situation where I had some time on my hands and there were a bunch of books. And so I looked to see if there were any of the books that have been, that were on the list. We're guessing are on the list. That was Take Back Our Classrooms, I think. It's on my phone and my phone's controlling the camera. But, so I can't read it from it directly, but and when you go to this site and it says, it's basically find the pedophilia that's in your local school libraries. And I don't know, I hope we're employing critical thinking skills because I don't know how you could see that site and not go, oh, this is an extremist site. This isn't a reasonable thing. And I know there are some big brains up here, some big education, some critical thinking. I've seen it in meetings, and so I hope you're employing that. But anyway, I picked up this book this morning and started reading it, and I was carrying it around, someone saw me reading it and said, oh, so-and-so loves this book, you should go talk to her about it. She got me to read it. And as I was reading it, what I thought of is exactly what I've seen people experience in schools. You work in schools, you will meet kids who have been raped, like the girl in this book, who is trying to figure it out, and is trying to find the words to express it and get the help that she needed. That's exactly what the character in this book experienced. And I've read 4 of the books all the way through. I am partway through the long way, and I'm partway through this one. And I can tell you all of them have great literary value. And the people who had recommended these to me today were English teachers who teach them. And by the way, I heard the author of this book was invited to Lapeer West a few years back. I came to talk to people about it. So I hope we are employing all of our critical thinking skills and thinking about this is what people experience. Again, I know people who have. Thank you.
Thank you. Bridget?
So I know we are a diverse group of people. We all have different opinions and thoughts, but I just wanted to say how sad I was to hear about the books being pulled from the library. I firmly believe that not every book is for everyone, but every book is for someone. I believe that reading should be encouraged and always appreciated when you see someone who wants to grow their love of reading. And the idea that you would remove the books from the library with no warning from the staff or the students, I know from having spoken to students, has been upsetting. I have children in my life who are upset. I know growing up that my school library was a safety net. I didn't always have, I was very sick as a child. I'm still very sick and disabled. I often missed a lot of school, so I would spend a lot of time in that library doing work. And when I wasn't at school and I was too sick to do stuff, I would read. So books were my constant companions. And 2 of the books on this list were books I read in high school. The Lovely Bones and 19 Minutes. They were beautiful. They were heartbreaking. They taught me things I would never have experienced. And they gave me a perspective into something I hadn't experienced and I don't ever want to experience. They gave me empathy. And they helped me learn. And I think that's important. And I think that's something really important in a diverse community. And some of those books can help people even if they're not directed at them. They can give them a perspective. And I just, as mentioned, there might be passages that on the front of it look terrible, but you have to read the context. That's what we were taught in school. Reading comprehension and context. And I just want to say I trust our librarians in this school and I trust our staff and I thank you all for your hard work. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Bridget.
Rhonda?
I enjoy books. I love what they have to teach me. I love the voice of a narrator or character in my head as I read their words on the page. I hope everyone has books they love in their own way. There's nothing more personal than our feelings and reactions to the people, places, and times written about in the books we read. I have a list of favorite books. My list is different from every other list of every other person in this room, I think. Every book isn't for me, every book might not be for you, but every book is for someone. So the issue of banning books, telling another person a book isn't for them because it wasn't for you, is a pretty subjective endeavor. However, I think a fair starting point for the debate over the merits of a book is actually reading the entire book and attempting to understand its author and its purpose before calling for its removal. A problem we've had with the Lapeer District Library from the beginning is people calling for the removal of books they haven't actually read. You can tell, it's obvious, English literature teachers understand. So it's a bit of a quandary if Superintendent Laundrie believes that the individual or group of people who call for the removal of 83 books from Lapeer school libraries have really read those 83 books. Did their removal request come with explanations of the plots and themes and sound arguments that those individual books can harm their readers? Furthermore, do these self-stylized critics have an understanding of the evolution of literature as an art form, a means of expression of the author's experience, their thoughts, their imagination? This kind of understanding, this expertise, is what librarians, teachers of literature, and writers are taught. It's what their degrees are based upon. So I asked the superintendent and this board to acknowledge this training and expertise when evaluating books in the collection. Simply compiling a list of 83 books one finds objectionable does not establish the list maker as an expert. I hope this body will take a step back from the quicksand of censorship, turn you to your educators, and listen to your students and future students.
Thank you. William, go back.
Yes, hi, good evening. First off, whoever said, thank you for all that you guys do. It's a pretty thankless job a lot of times. Been in the district for 30-some years. My youngest graduated in 2014. Been done very well, both went to college, things have gone really well. This where we are now, my daughter and I had our first dad and daughter dance. So I've been with the district a long time, volunteered for about a decade doing after-school programs. This felt was worthwhile. You guys in the district, we went through 30-some years. We couldn't get a bond passed. We couldn't get a bond passed because the public did not trust what the district was doing. Now, Lapeer has been very successful the last couple times, and the last couple bond issues, and why? Because people trust. We believe in the district, we believe in the superintendent, we believe that you guys are going to look out for the best interests of our children. We can respectfully all in this room disagree on a lot of things. That doesn't make anybody wrong, it just means that we can respectfully disagree. But in this particular thing, you want to be mindful of the fact that people have thrown their support behind you because we trust you. That can change. We don't, with my kids, there was an issue a long time ago with Whitewood busing. They took, at that time, the peer schools cut the busing to anybody over 8th grade. My kids, I drove them. If my kids needed something, I provide for them. It's not the school's job to raise my child, it's the school's job to teach. And all I can say is I have my trust, I have my faith in this district. I really hope that, that it's in a good place. I remember meeting that young man when he was stepping here for the first time. So thank you very much.
Thank you. William Hamilton.
Just want to say that I support the effort to review the books in the library and make sure they are appropriate for children in the schools. I support the use of takebackclassroom.com as one resource to help review those. I find it disturbing that a book with an excerpt that was read previously by another commenter, that's in our schools, and our kids are reading that. Is that really what we want kids to be having access to? Society protects children from certain things because they're not sure or ready for them. We don't just hand a driver's license to a kid without training. We don't allow kids to smoke pot or buy cigarettes or drink alcohol until an appropriate age. Communities trust me to protect these kids and hope you do the right thing and appropriate thing and review the materials there in the library and remove things that should not be.
Tom Coleman.
I am Tom Coleman from Deerfield Township, and I'm actually the former chairman of the Lapeer County Board of Commissioners. I'm going to take a little different approach as a forewarning as you guys kind of move into this whole book reconsideration thing. I want to speak to you today is not only to encourage you, but also to warn you of the negative comments and pushback that you're likely going to receive from many that are here tonight about the books you're reconsidering. I recognize a lot of them, and they're the same people who came to our county commission meetings. When I was on the board, they still come to this day. They go to the county commission meetings now, the township meetings, library meetings, pleading their case as why they think sexually graphic books should be available to children. They'll make you think that they're the majority, when in fact they're just the extremely loud minority. They'll come up with all sorts of outlandish reasons on why you don't have authority and how you're violating the constitutional rights of children. They believe children should be able to look at pretty much anything that they want at the expense of the taxpayers. You might be called a bigot, you might be called a Nazi, and you might even hear them call you a white Christian nationalist. You might hear that you're homophobic or you're against the LGBTQ community. They may even claim that you're pushing your religious beliefs onto them, and then they'll misuse separation of church and state as an attempt to prove their point. You're going to hear how that you don't have the right to remove books or even restrict books. You may even be threatened with a lawsuit, but the fact of the matter is, because they're all empty threats, their tactics are the same no matter where they go. There's plenty of Michigan law on the books that gives districts, school districts, and libraries a framework to operate based on what's called community standards. And I'm going to bet if you stood outside of our community at any local store in town and showed 100 people the books that you're reconsidering, then 95% of them would say those books should not be accessible to children and should not be paid for with hard-earned tax dollars. I'm here to encourage you to block out the white noise and to do the job that you were elected to do, and provide the children of the community schools with quality reading material that doesn't inhibit their growth and bastardize the original intent of local education. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Carrie Coleman. I'm here to support the review and removal of sexually explicit and developmentally inappropriate material from our school libraries. This issue is not about banning books or restricting ideas. It's about responsibility, trust, and age-appropriate education. Our children come to school to learn, to grow, and to prepare for their future. They come to develop critical thinking skills, academic knowledge, creativity, and character. They should be able to do this in an environment that is safe, age-appropriate, and focused on education, not exposure to sexually explicit or inappropriate material that distracts them from their learning and growth. Parents entrust schools with something precious, their children. That trust includes the reasonable expectation that school libraries contain sound educational material aligned with developmental readiness and community standards. For the vast majority of parents, this trust does not extend to sexually explicit content being made accessible to minors without parental knowledge or consent. This is not about censorship. It is not about banning ideas or silencing voices. It is about discernment and responsibility. There is a clear and important difference between freedom of information and entertainment content, especially when it comes to children. Schools exist to educate, not to expose. To guide, not to prematurely introduce adult themes that parents should have the right to address on their own terms and timeline. We can support intellectual freedom while also recognizing that children are not adults and school libraries are not public bookstores. Age matters, context matters, and purpose matters. By taking steps to review and remove sexually explicit and inappropriate materials from school libraries, you are not restricting opportunity, you are protecting it. You are helping students focus on learning, curiosity, creativity, and growth. You are reinforcing the partnership between schools and families. And you are sending a clear message that student well-being comes first. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Judy Warnke. I retired from Lapeer Schools as a media care pro. I worked at Lapeer West, and yes, we did have the author of Speak Up to the School to talk with the students, because yes, we did read that book. We also read 19 Minutes, and we had Jody Coughlin quite a few times. The students enjoyed reading the books. There was a lot of communication done. 19 Minutes is not considered so much a school shooting book if you actually read it. It's a book about about bullying and what students go through with bullying. And we had a lot of communication done about that, and students came expressing themselves about the times they were bullied in school and about the times they did the bullying in schools. I believe we have to have a large selection of books for all students. We also had a student whose parents came up, called me, or called Don Geese, who was the head of the library. And they were concerned because their child had taken home the Mein Kampf book. And they were told to bring it right back to the school. And in speaking with the parents, we decided that the easiest way was to let the parents know each time their child wanted to check out a book because he was so fascinated by Nazi paraphernalia and history. We were also able to find out that he did enjoy car repair. So we actually got him going on car repair books that he did enjoy, and the parents were very appreciative of it.
That's fine, thank you.
Thank you. Leslie Getz.
Leslie Getz, resident of the district in Mayfield Township and educator. I too heard the rumor about books being removed from the libraries, and what I heard was that they were removed based on the request of one person without following the procedures and policies that are in place for this district. So I did not come today to debate the merits of individual books. I came to say that I support the administration and support the board in following their procedures, looking at these books appropriately, and following the procedures and the laws that are in place.
Thank you. Jen Kuhn.
I'm gonna have to edit, I thought we were given 5 minutes. Good evening, my name is Jean Kuhn. I'm a resident of Lapeer County since 1978, and I'm a retired teacher after 31 years, 29 of which I spent in Lapeer. I entered the district as an English teacher and retired as a French teacher. It was my honor and privilege to serve the students of Lapeer West High School, Owen Panthers. I want to thank Mr. Wandry for taking a good half hour with me on the phone yesterday to inform me and discuss the issue that I had heard about, that several books had been pulled from shelves. And as we talked, I learned that those books were pulled as a response to one individual's email referencing the website takebacktheclassroom.com. After our discussion, I looked up takebacktheclassroom.com because I wanted to know who we needed to take the classroom back from. And so when I did take a look at this site, I found this. Pornographic books have infiltrated classrooms and libraries for the purpose of grooming our children under the guise of education. It's time to take back control. I think this is actually a horrible assertion against teachers, and I firmly believe in accountability for teachers. I only see a portion of the 83 books list, and I'm not really familiar with takebacktheclassroom.com beyond what I looked at yesterday. I do know that these 83 books at one point were considered, deemed appropriate, purchased, and placed on the library shelves, and I wonder why they're being scrutinized now. Mr. Wandry has assured me that a committee of media specialists, English teachers, and among others, would be reviewing, not blindly banning these titles. I trust that there is an established rubric for approving books that will be followed. Books that meet the criteria must be returned to the shelves. And I volunteered quite emphatically to Mr. Wandry yesterday that I would like to be a member of the committee.
Peggy. Don't mean to butcher names. Peggy Brodsky. Close.
So I too have recently heard that a sizable number of books have been pulled from Lapeer School's library shelves. If this is true, I am hoping that this will be addressed during the superintendent and board comments. I would like to learn more about this and hear about the next steps for the pulled books. I would like you to know that I support a review of concerning books, and I feel it is very important to take a good look at the process of how they make it onto the library shelves in the first place. It is good to know that the well-being of Lapeer students is top priority and that you are willing to look at potential problems with the current Lapeer School Library collection development policies. It's important that the library books align with our community standards, and I'm happy to hear that this is being recognized. Just because a book has made its way to a library shelf doesn't mean it's a healthy choice for students. I recently learned of a book in our public library titled Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl that has pervasively vulgar content. It is my understanding that this book is also in the school library catalog at Zimmer. The book description and professional reviews used by our public library give no indication that such content will be there. So there it sits, available to young readers who have no idea what they are about to be exposed to. I want to thank you for your work and all you do on behalf of our students and families.
Thank you. Susan?
I also would like to thank Superintendent Wanda. He took some time with me yesterday as well, and I am very confident that this district does look out for the well-being of students. I do think that many of us here have a different idea, however, what our job is with our students. As an educator and as a parent, I always believed I was raising my child and the students in my classroom to be responsible adults. I keep hearing the word children, 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 and I think a lot of people have the idea that somehow we are going to protect our children until they turn that magic age of 18, flip a switch, and now they're going to be ready to be responsible adults. We live in a pretty complex world. Our students need to be exposed to many ideas. They need to learn analysis. They need to be able to apply their own values and moral standards. I hear people are concerned about what books their children may read. Your child, by the time they get to high school, should know your family's values pretty well. And I would expect my child to make selections with that in mind, and I feel confident they did. The other thing that we need to think about is that we have professionals, media specialists who are making these selections according to district policy. These books did not just land on the shelf in some very erratic way. They were carefully selected using many quality guidelines. I trust those people to make those choices. We should not ever randomly pull books off of a shelf based on a list without first going through a careful process. And I hope that we see that process evolve. Thank you.
Thank you.
This is Andrew Cook, a resident of Mayfield Township. Haven't been in this building in probably 28 years. When I graduated from Urban Elementary.
Well, Bill is hosting a dance afterwards, so.
There you go. There's absolutely no context of any kind that could make the clip, the excerpt that was read earlier, appropriate for a minor. No context. And everyone in this room knows that. There's no context. So any discussion of, well, you got to read the whole book is completely, it totally misses the mark. Try to be generous. We know that there's no context that would make that okay. And furthermore, we all believe there are books that should not be on a library shelf. For example, if an author was to write a book, How to Kill Yourself, and all the characters in the book graphically ended their own lives with steps on how to do it, and even Amazon links to get the materials. Everyone in this room would agree that that book does not belong in the school library. We all agree that. We're not talking about censorship here, we're talking about selection for appropriate materials for minors. I understand they're not baby children, but they are minors. Also, every internet connection in every school in this district is censored. Every internet connection. You don't let the kids come into a school and load up Pornhub. There's no way. It has to be blocked. And everybody agrees. But for some reason, there's a misconception that if the pornographic, explicit act is put in words, that it makes it okay because it has some fictitious literary value. It's completely ridiculous, and we all know it. We must protect our children from inappropriate depictions of sexual acts. It is totally inappropriate for our children to encounter that kind of thing in school. Thank you for that.
Stephanie Hamilton.
Good evening. My name is Stephanie Hamilton. I'm from Lapeer Township. There have been a lot of comments made tonight that I would love to respond to, but I'm going to spare everybody the time. So I'm just going to come up here and I would like to state that I fully support the idea of a committee that goes through and reviews the books that are put in the schools. And whatever resources you need to use, takebacktheclass.com would be a wonderful website to just start the process of learning about these books and what they say. It's a lot to figure out what are in, 80-something books that were pulled. So that would maybe be a good place to start. So thank you for everything that you do. I hope you take these comments into consideration.
Thank you. Ken Kaplan.
Mr. Galbraith, I got kind of drug into this situation, and I have watched people at library board meetings, and they will stand behind their quote Christian beliefs. You cannot protect a kid from what they don't know exists. I have never heard the headlines of a librarian grooming a child, molesting a child. It's happened in scout troops. It's happened in parochial schools, churches. I hope this board will have backbone enough not to become the puppet of a few people who want to homeschool and not have religious conviction, but what I call Bible thump. Don't become their puppet to remove it. There was a process, and all through this, there's been a group of people look at books, and I'm sure if they were that horrible, that terrible, somebody in the committee that puts books in the library would have went, I have a problem with. I just hope you guys will stand up and let the kids read this stuff and go to mom and dad and say, gee, this is really creepy. This is really icky. Don't do the job of the people that can't, won't, or don't spend time with their kids to teach them what they figure their beliefs really are.
And Mr. Leroy, I can't read your first name.
Jacob.
Okay, Jacob.
Hi, I'm Jacob Leroy. I graduated from Lapeer East High School in 2011, and I now have a child enrolled in the district. I just wanted to take some time to say a few things tonight. I do support the superintendent using resources such as takebacktheclassroom.com, the screen books for suitability in our public library. I believe there are some topics parents would like to address with their children on their own and not have the school, which is the government, get involved on these topics. Removing certain books from the public school library, the community finds objectionable is not banning the books. This is our community one of our community libraries. We have many schools have them. We have Lapeer District Library, that's there's more of them. And those are funded by the community. And so the community has a say in what is the curation of the books that are going on in the library. I'd like to also say that several other commenters put their faith in whatever nebulous committee, organization, library association that has approved these books to be put in our libraries. But we, the community, put our faith in you, the school board, and the superintendent. And so that's why I support you and the superintendent taking this action to review these books tonight. Another commenter said that, if a child has had some horrible things happen to them, that they might find comfort in there. I don't think that this public school is an appropriate place for them to deal with that. I think there's other resources that the parents and the child have available to them in our community to deal with those situations. I'd also like to say, since another commenter brought it up, that should ICE appear at the school must comply with federal law enforcement fully, and the illegal aliens must be deported. Thank you.
That concludes our public comment for this evening. We will continue on in our agenda. Next, we have our presentations. So I'll turn it over to you, Superintendent.
Thank you, Madam President. It is my honor to introduce Eric Ingalls, our Director of Finance, to share with
Motion carries. Okay, that concludes action items. So I will open it up to board member communications.
I guess I'll start. I thank you everyone for being here. We appreciate hearing your input, and I'm a processor, so I've got to think about it and really take some time. But again, I appreciate the fact that we've heard all different types. I have a fun story to share. As I walked into a local business today, I ran into someone that knew me, and I wasn't quite sure who they were, and realized I knew them too. But they were sharing about LVP, about our Lapeer virtual partnership, and how they had met with Michon and were going to send their student there, and then the connection with the ISD as well, and that he was going into a program there. And I thought how cool it is that I sit on both boards and got to experience this from the community. So while this is a thankless job at times, right, and I appreciate the encouragement, it was fun to be in that position and to hear about their success stories and how their son is so excited, to be a part of LVP as well as the ISD program and how that will further their career someday. But the person, I just want to mention that I think it's important that Michon does a great job, and we appreciate her. And a lot of times, again, she's behind the scenes. But I mean, this was really how she took the time to meet with them one-on-one, and how important that was. So just wanted to say, yeah, it was just a really cool experience. So thank you.
Again, thank you to everyone for showing up. Either side of the coin, that's what our community is made of. That's how we make everything up too. We do have processes in place. That's what we do too. We don't just make decisions. So I like that. That's what we're here. Thank you to the person who said thank you. Thank you to the person who brought information to us as well. We get educated here as much as we can also, and we appreciate that. As for the deficit, I will give all of my board salary back to the school to help with the deficit. Just so you know.
Make that a
duly
beautiful
noted.
slide, Erica. Thank you.
$0. Go on later.
Just an offer. Go ahead.
So I also want to thank everyone tonight for their comments. It's great to see the room full, and there's nights that we have here that there's only one or two people. We heard some vocabulary tonight that we normally don't hear, but I'd like to recognize Superintendent Wandry for his wonderful use of the word matriculation. I almost can't say it. He used it successfully 3 times, and he deserves a gold star.
Remember that during the evaluation process, John?
He can't spell it, but
he can't spell it.
No quandary, you can say it.
But I was also reminded when I looked at my own calendar this morning that this is the birth date of Rosa Parks, which then reminded me that traditionally this is Black History Month. And so I started thinking about some of the books that I've read on some of the wonderful contributions that we've had in this country. And one book that came to mind was American History in Black and White. an incredible book if you've never read it before. Tells some incredible stories. On the front of the book, it shows several of the men who were elected to Congress in 1878. 1878, we happen to have 23 black men voted into our U.S. House of Representatives, 13 of which were former slaves, and they all were incredibly articulate. And if you have a chance, as you take the time to look up some of their writings, they're masterful in what they have to say. So that's it.
I would just like to share that I love books. Books are an escape. They're an adventure. They have given me such joy. My mom taught me how to read when I was 4, and there's a photo of me at Kersley School.
We knew we'd get 3 in.
As a 4-year-old, reading books to a classroom of 2nd and 3rd graders. It was by my doing that they decided that I could jump forward to 2nd grade as a 4-year-old.
Oh my God.
That did not work, so they put me in 1st grade. So I was one of the youngest graduating classes of 1992, having just turned 17 the month prior.
From where?
From
Sorry.
And reading has been my life. I love to read. As I said, it's an escape, it's an adventure. It has brought me great pleasure. It has taken me on many journeys. It has encouraged me to read more, to do more investigation, to watch more documentaries, to do more because of books. I do not take it lightly, the concerns that are being raised tonight. I have read 2 of the books that was brought up, the 19 Minutes and what was the other one? Speak. I'm sorry? Speak? No, I didn't read that one. It was the other one. The Lovely Bones. I think she loved. So I just want parents to know and the community to know that I don't want to ban books. Okay? I don't want to ban books, but I do want to provide appropriate materials for our children. That is my job. That is how I have translated my role as a board member here. I have been very fortunate to serve for the last 5 years, and I intend on running again when my seat is up. And we will take this process into consideration. We do have a process. Mr. Wandry has assured us of that, and nothing is just going to disappear forever. We're going to do the process the right way. We're going to have input from many people, community, staff members, and board members. And I appreciate your trust in us. I appreciate you believing in us and thanking us for our role here. And I just want to reassure all of the parents, people here, thank you so much for coming out tonight. It's very rare that we have a house full, so thank you very much. And I just want you to know that books are the best, and I hope that our libraries can continue to thrive and be utilized by the kids. And there's a lot more that I could say, but as Lisa alluded to, there's a lot to process tonight. There's a lot to process. And so please know that we will make the best decisions that we feel is right and best for our children in Lapeer. I yield the balance.
I said I wasn't gonna go after April. And
Yeah,
I
you
should have
jumped
jumped on that.
I'm not crying though. I'm not crying this time.
I also want to thank everybody for coming. As a new board member, I get to, there's a lot to take in and digest here, and I will not take it lightly. I'd like to go a little different direction and share a success story with the from the community. My son is doing the firefighting young learners program, and amazing program. I want to thank our local community members for pushing that. He's cannot say enough good things about it. Came home the other night, super excited. He was CPR certified, so I think those are awesome programs that are coming available in our community, and I appreciate them being welcomed into our schools as well.
Thank you. I too want to thank, everybody this evening as well, bringing all of your passions. We see it. There is a lot to process, like Dr. Millman and Ms. Lapeer mentioned. And we don't take anything lightly. I think you can see that, and we've displayed it. And we're true too. We're up here, doing the best with the information that we have to be able to process, within the guidelines that we have to process it in. So I just want to take a moment. We'd love to see you all on Monday night at our opening of our Performing Arts Center. We're so proud of that. It's at 6 p.m. That's right. And honestly, that Performing Center is a cherished item in our community that helps continue to bring us all together. So I think it's just wonderful for you guys to be there. I'll be there for sure. I think I'll be joined by my board colleagues as well. But I look forward to seeing you there. There'll be food.
Oh, yeah.
But it's going to be amazing to be able to showcase that we were able to take everyone's thoughts and put it together and have such a cherished center for us to use as a district, the community. So with that.
And as Bill said, we were able to expand that.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
I mean, thank you to you guys
Exactly.
for passing that bond and letting us do this for our students. So we do appreciate it and we value that. Great.
Absolutely.
So I'll turn it over to you, Superintendent Wondering.
Thank you very much, Madam President. As a former history and civics teacher, I'm heartened by the display of our community this evening. I think it's very easy to be disenchanted with the current political discourse, state, local, federal level. Turning on the news today is a very depressing endeavor. It's very caustic. I don't see a lot of well-meaning adults engaging in legitimately productive discourse. I felt that I heard that today. Some of the things that I think are very important to highlight, that many of you articulated, that we do have very different views of society's role as it relates to the management of these complex issues. I heard words like review versus ban, and no, nothing has been banned, but we reserve the right as an educational institution to continually engage in review. Just because a process of any type at one point deemed anything legitimate, viable, good or bad, we reserve the right to continually review any material put in front of students. That engagement that we're about to endeavor to undertake, like they say in real estate, the three most important words are location, location, location. The three most important words in this review are process, process, process. And to simply engage in arbitrary removal and permanent banning of any material or process because 1, 2, 3, or 10 people think it's right is never sound practice. So why we're all here is because there is going to be, these books seem to be the linchpin of this conversation, but a larger review of all of our collections as we begin to evaluate what's most appropriate for students. There is a very well articulated policy in the district as it relates to this review, right down to who it shall include as a member of the review process. And that's going to include a number of the folks that many of you identified as wanting to be part of this process, including media center specialists, current classroom teachers, members of the community, in certain cases age-appropriate students, building administrators, district administrators. And I guarantee that once that group reviews not only the books in question, the larger collections as a whole, and the existing process that we engage in to approve and purchase future texts, that many in this room will both agree and disagree with the ultimate decisions of that body. As well-meaning citizens, that's okay. I once heard, as a former human resource director, that the best bargain contract is one where both sides walk away angry. And that will most likely be the case here. I am not the arbiter of what is good and right or wrong in morality and virtue and the law. I am a public school district superintendent whose primary function it is to manage processes that yield decisions that can be trusted, I believe was a word heard consistently, by the community as a whole. This board, for those maybe attending this school district's board meeting for the first time, is a well-meaning group of people. You heard a lot of laughter, positive interaction with you as community members, our administrative staff, and one another, because while we're dealing with serious issues, we can do so in a lighthearted and positive manner. And that's the world we choose to operate. It doesn't mean that we're not going to have serious conversation, debate, argument, maybe some raised voices. Certainly, the robust debate is a healthy component of our democracy, and we're not afraid of that. That being said, what was on display today is what I hope to see in the future of this discussion as we model for our young people. No one in here, including the people sitting at this table, have cornered the market on knowing what's best for all kids at all times. We all are well-meaning people who think we have the best interests of young people at heart. What I hope to model for those young people is that when the adults in their community have a disagreement, they can do exactly what happened tonight. Get up, speak with passion about issues they believe in, listen to those with whom they disagree, maybe engage in quiet or not so quiet conversation after the fact, after these meetings, and continue to engage in dialogue. I'm not saying that that will ultimately lead to some great kumbaya moment where we all agree. I don't think that's necessarily going to happen. And I am okay with that. I'm okay with the uncomfortability of disagreement, as we all should be. Our nation was not founded on widespread universal agreement, nor will it persist based on that same expectation. That being said, I am going to yield the decision-making of this to many of the people that are going to be identified on these committees, and trusting that based on listening to your feedback, the process outlined for them, and a number of outside, let's say, rating agencies or listservs or things that rate these types of books can offer them. And again, that is our ultimate goal, is to evaluate materials that, based on the values of this community, we deem appropriate. That is a loaded statement, because what we could have that statement defined in this room 40 different ways. And it is not for this board, who attempts to maintain an apolitical posture as much as possible. We are not a political board. This is a board representative of our entire community. Our job is to teach young people how to read, write, and do math, not how to teach them how to live or what to think. We teach kids how to think. Teach them what to think is your job. We believe in that here, and we safeguard that pretty passionately. So with that, I will conclude with one of the phrases that I heard that I think we should all leave here with, which is that the idea of respectful disagreement. You can disagree, you can agree with me or disagree with me, and whether you support why or how this came to pass, what we do moving forward, in my estimation, is far more important than why we're sitting in the room now. It was the genesis for that. And what I mean to say is the process we engage in, and we'll be transparent about, is going to yield a result. How we debate that result, how we talk about it, how we interact with one another, is going to determine the ultimate outcome and how this issue is remembered in our community, because we've seen this issue unfold in other communities. I don't desire to mimic what I've seen in other communities here. our students, our staff, and our community look to this board to ensure that there is professional management of this county's largest educational institution. I, for one, as a superintendent for a decade and a half here, will guard that with considerable passion. That I will not allow, nor do I seek to allow, these board meetings to devolve into screaming and shouting matches where people are trying to score political points. That is not something that I think we should engage in. Not because I don't like people screaming and yelling. I can handle it with the best of them. But what our kids are watching, we need to keep that in mind. Because they are. And they don't have a whole lot to look at and evaluate right now on a state and national level, in my estimation, that I would want, that I have my, I have 3 20-year-old children, 21, 23, and 25. And we talk a lot about politics. We talk a lot about social issues. We talk a lot about culture. And we have our family values. And I talk about this with my adult children on a daily basis. And one of the things that I lament in our current discourse is there's not a lot that ideas we believe in, yes, behaviors, no. And what I saw today was great behavior, great discussion, great articulation. It's my hope and prayer that persists throughout the entirety of this process. I want to thank you for that, your decorum, professionalism, and respect, and I think we showed the best of our community today. I thank you for that. With that, I yield back to my time, Madam President.
Thank you, Superintendent Marbury. With that, I will take a motion.
Motion to adjourn. Support.
Dr. Novak? Aye. Dr. Watson?
Aye.
Mrs. LaVon?
Aye.
Mr. Carpenter?
Aye.
Mr. Van Wagenen?
Aye.
Mrs. Hunter says aye. Meeting adjourned.
I'm